Hi Sagittarius, and welcome to your reading for February 2019. My name is Melanie. This is a general reading, so it may or may not resonate. I just encourage you to take what you like and leave the rest. Maybe some of it can be of use. Today I'm using two different sets of cards. The first deck, of which you see the main tarot cards there, is called Tattoo Tarot, Ink and Intuition. And the second lot of cards I use, and I use these more like oracle cards. They're from a set called the Dreamtime Reading Cards. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system, and usually one card comes out of that deck representing the overall theme for a month for a sign, but you guys have two cards that came out there and I'll be talking about them a little bit later on. So let's just dive right in. So 5 cards for the month. The first card representing past energies that may be impacting things now or of relevance for this month. For that, you guys have the 4 of Coins, otherwise known as the 4 of Pentacles. The current energies, present situation in the month of February for Sagittarius, that card is the 8 of Coins or the 8 of Pentacles. Possible obstacles to be aware of this month, the 5 of Swords card for you guys. Possible helpful tools, things that may be of use in February for Sagittarians, the Hanged Man card there, and finally the outcome card for February, the Queen of Cups. And like I said before, you have 2 cards that came out. Usually it's just one, but you had 2 that sort of popped out representing the overall theme or themes for this month. From that Dreamtime Reading Card deck, and you have a card called Bandy Bandy representing balance, and you also have a card called Moth, and that's about the shadow self, and I'll be getting to them at the end of the reading. So starting with past energy and what may still be what may be underlying things or coming into play somehow this month. So from the past there you have the 4 of Coins. So the 4 of Coins, well, you have 2 coins or 2 Pentacles cards here in this reading. So, you know, Pentacles are earthly grounded energy, practical matters, things to do with money, finances, work, career, possessions, the senses, food, sensuality, things like that, but kind of real and genuine, tangible things in one's life. So the 4 of Coins is about security, possession, holding on tightly to what one has and what one has accumulated. There's a bit of energy with this card of kind of control, being stable and secure, but really being very conservative and a bit miserly almost in what you have managed to acquire financially or with work. It can represent an inheritance or a gift, or gaining status through wealth. It can be about financial protection and security, fears of loss, fears of financial loss, fear of losing, say, one's house, things like that, and really clinging very tightly to the riches, whatever they are, that one has, possibly even so much that one's hoarding, you know, being in a real comfort zone trap kind of thing. And needing to have some balance in the wealth that you have accumulated, whether wealth financially, wealth of ideas, other material things in your life. There are things in your life that you have that are worth protecting, and you're almost a bit anxious about them, or something has happened to make you fear that you're going to lose it all, or maybe you have had that experience in the past and you're really driven by that kind of fear, and that makes you kind of hold on to things perhaps a little bit too tightly, being a little bit too selfish and not kind of sharing enough of the things that you have worked hard for. Totally get that, and want to maintain that kind of stability and control that you have in your life. So it says to me that you have acquired a degree of practical material things, which is fantastic, but you're a little bit worried that you're going to lose them, or something in the past has you've gone through some experience of some sort that has happened, and you've been a bit destitute, or somebody took advantage of you, or something happened and you're now like clinging to the riches that you have, riches in any sense of the word. Moving then into the present month of February for Sagittarians, and that the main card there is the 8 of Coins or the 8 of Pentacles. So we're moving along, we've gone from 4, now we're at 8. So the 8 of Coins is about, it's kind of called the apprenticeship card, and sort of education, employment, commission, craftsmanship, you know, planning, toiling away at something with skill, with ambition, working away sort of almost like in the background with something, mastering techniques and things to move up levels. It can also be about, it's a card of hard work and a bit of like tedious kind of work that shows up when you've been like toiling away at something and you're like, man, this is really kind of tedious. I feel a bit stuck in this monotonous kind of work now. It's very methodical. I'm bored. I'm in the rat race. I kind of want to give up. This card is a reminder to keep going. It's at 8, so you're nearly at the end of a cycle, with 10 being the end of a cycle. Although you may be feeling like what you're doing is repetitive, and you can't quite see the outcome yet, but it's always that background work, the study that we put in, the effort, the learning, the training that eventually does pay off. Particularly when we practice self-discipline and motivation, eventually we get where we need to go, or where we want to go. Somehow you need to perhaps just tweak your perspective on where you're at now, that in some area of your life where you're feeling this sense of kind of, I'm still working away at something and I'm very determined and there's a lot of hard work, but you're a little bit kind of impatient with it, and you need to, I guess, talk and communicate about that. Keep your eyes at the goal at the end there, to keep going, because you're building a very strong, firm foundation. And the key to any long-term goal and the building of something that has a solid foundation with a long-term positive outlook is consistency, and being very persistent, being very patient, and getting back on that horse day after day after day, week after week, month after month, even when you don't feel like doing that anymore. This can be a card of, like I said, of employment, but of things to do also with finances, loans, interest, repayments, advances. So maybe to in that way, I think this is related to perhaps some sort of work or creative endeavour that is bound to finances in some way. And maybe you have been toiling away at that for quite some time, and still perhaps learning some things, but also going, all right, you know, when am I going to break through here? When am I going to make it big time? When am I going to get recognised? When am I going to pass through this phase of the beginner stage kind of thing, when you're like, I know I'm past that now? You're nearly there. So be patient, keep going. I don't know, talk yourself through this kind of feeling that might show up this month. Get other people to help you if you need a bit of assistance, or to delegate in some way, but don't give up. Don't give up, because you're nearly there. This card is a card almost of encouragement, saying keep going, you will get there in the end, and there are good benefits coming, particularly long-term sort of practical kind of outcome coming your way. Possible obstacles this month for February for Sagittarians. The 5 of Swords card came up for you. So this is a card, 5s are a tricky kind of number. They're associated with things being a bit, there's sort of issues of control and balance, and things being out of whack in some way, issues of power and control. So the 5 of Swords is about tension, is about conflict, can be about having real mixed feelings, needing to pick your battles wisely, can be about defeat and feeling betrayed, or can be about feeling quite devious in the way you've gone about things. Possible destructive kind of consequences because things have been done with brute force, like forcing things. Can be a card about acting a bit too selfishly in your own interests, and that's causing problems. which is interesting now that I think about it, with that Four of Coins card, and perhaps being a little bit too self-focused and clinging to what you have and going, no, I'm not going to share that. You've got the Five of Swords card here, which is a tense card, because you're feeling a bit threatened, a bit inadequate, a bit insecure, and you're kind of going into these battles. There is some sort of conflict or tension around, and these are pointless kind of battles. You know, this is actually stuff that's going on in your head, but you're worried about what other people are thinking of you. You're being perhaps a bit defensive and projecting that outside, and then getting into some sort of conflict in some way, shape or form, to sort of get things your own way, really putting others offside. And you know, I really don't think there's a need to do that. I guess I can say that because I'm sitting here and I'm not in your situation, but it's not an ideal way to go about winning. Why do you need to win anyway if it's going to cause some grief and harm in the process? Maybe on a deep level you feel really embarrassed or humiliated about something and you're really desperately trying to overcome that, which would kind of make sense again with that Four of Coins card there, and sort of being a little bit, I'm not going to say clingy, but miserly and a bit mean. Same kind of feelings of meanness coming up in this Five of Swords card. So whether that's you this month being this way, or there is someone in your life this month who is a bit of an obstacle and a challenge in some way this month, that blocks you somehow from what you need to be focusing on in this month, with the Eight of Coins card there and toiling away and continuing. But I'm wondering if it's more just stuff in your own head and you're almost wanting to take shortcuts and kind of slash down a few people because you can't be bothered keeping up the work. You may be really exhausted as well, and you want to just go, look, I'm just going to do this, this and this. I don't really care about the consequences. I don't really care what people think of me, but actually I think deep down you do. And so that's all mixed up. You can see how that's mixed up as I say that. That's not a good way to go about things. Perhaps you're being very overly ambitious, but I think there's really a core anxiety about some sort of your foundations, your security, your stability, your finances, your work, and it's just coming out a little funky this month. On the flip side, what may be helpful and of use to you, the Hanged Man card came out, and I actually think that's really interesting now, because the Hanged Man is about, I always think about it, seeing things from a different perspective, because he's upside down, and you can see in the picture his head is illuminated. So to me that's there's a lot of stuff going on in his head, and he's forced to see things from a new perspective. He's thinking about things in a different way. He's kind of in limbo. He's suspended. He's surrendering. He has to pause. He's restrained. He's hanging by his own choice, but he's not exactly unhappy about it in this card. He's not looking miserable. So I think this card is encouraging you to pause, to readjust things, to wait for a new perspective to come in, to self-sacrifice for a good cause, to let go of things, to let go of the need to control things, to have an outcome, to know everything. I know it's very anxiety provoking when you're in a state of uncertainty and flux and you've had bad experiences in the past. But if that stuff is still really loud in your head, that's running your life. You're living in fear. You're living in the shadow of whatever happened to you in the past, and you can't live in the present moment, and it's distorting your perspective. So I think the Hanged Man is saying what could be useful this month is to change your perspective, to just pause, put the pause button on whatever's happening, take a step back, be in limbo, challenge yourself to just wait, knowing that clarity will come. Tap into your intuition, seek help if you need to get an outside perspective on things. Meditate, do any of that kind of stuff that can help you see things a different way, to get more in more alignment with yourself and to be more authentic. It's the Five of Swords card. There's really nothing authentic going on there about the behavior and the thinking process going on when you're in that space. So you know, maybe you're actually a little bit stuck, you know, which would make sense with the 8 of Coins card there, with things kind of slowing down in a way. Well, you are working, but it feels like you're just on this treadmill getting nowhere, so you just kind of want to rush ahead and kind of chop down a few things in the way to get where you want, but that's ultimately not helpful. What could be helpful is just taking a step back, getting a new perspective on things, seeking some clarity, and just, you know, having to tolerate waiting for things to shift, and be in a state of little suspension for a while. If you can manage that, and it may be quite challenging, I do understand. The outcome though for this month is the Queen of Cups, so quite a really different energy, the Queen of Cups, from all the other cards here. This could well be a woman who comes into your life or is already in your life, may well be, or just the energy of this card being very potent in you this month. So the Queen of Cups as a person is a female who's quite mature. She's usually blonde or fair haired. Cups represents the water signs, so Scorpio, Cancer and Pisces. This woman, or the energy of this card, is being emotionally secure, being very calm, intuitive, compassionate, being really in control of one's emotions, a very gentle, affectionate energy, who, you know, like the nurturing woman who takes care of others and nurtures a lot. Very sort of devoted, faithful energy, you know, devoted mother, devoted wife kind of thing, devoted friend. You know, she's about pleasure, she's about happiness, she's about service and success. But this may well be an older woman who can help you out, someone that you trust, who's very tender and loving and kind, and can help balance out emotion and intuition. So yeah, not sure if that's actually a person who is going to help you through some of the, I think, inner conflict that you may be going through this month, because you want to make sure the external things in your life are not lost, even though there's probably no evidence or actually no real threat there. You're coming from a past, perhaps fear. There's a lot of sort of stuff in your head, or there's other people kind of influencing things in some way and making you feel a bit threatened. But if you are able to kind of work through that and get that perspective, you want to come to this place, I think, of much more emotional stability that is evident in the Queen of Cups, and or it certainly finds someone in your life who is able to help you move, tune into your emotions and your intuition a lot more, and to sort of help you see where some of your fears and anxieties are coming from. But you should land in a pretty good place with the Queen of Cups being the outcome card, and creating a sense of sort of emotional fullness in your life. And I think when we're feeling that way and we're quite content emotionally and in our relationships, that helps to loosen up some of the fears and anxieties around other areas of our lives as well. Finally, the overall theme card, or cards that you guys have for this month that came through. I'm going to now read from this little booklet that comes with the cards, Connecting with the Ancient Spirit and Nature of Australia. So you got card number 1 there, Bandy Bandy, representing balance. Interesting. So I was just talking about the Queen of Cups and balancing feelings and intuition, and getting more balance, I think, overall with this month. So the Bandy Bandy is a very shy, small, nocturnal snake. It is notable for the striking black and white stripes of even widths that cover its entire body. Its stripy appearance creates an optical illusion, making it very difficult to tell which end is the head and which end is the tail. Because it lives entirely on blind snakes, which are small shiny snakes that live in the ground and resemble large earthworms, it is limited to habitats that have an abundance of blind snakes. When threatened, the Bandy Bandy has a very unusual defense mechanism. It raises its body off the ground while quickly moving away from the perceived threat, making S-shaped hoops. The Bandy Bandy represents duality, The equal numbers of black and white stripes on its body remind you of your own personal extremes. They correspond to those you show and those you hide, those you consider good and those you consider bad. The stripes are also representative of 2 points of view or a situation where there is more than one choice available to you. The Bandy Bandy's lesson is one of balance, of understanding that there will always be 2 sides to every story and that not everyone has the same ideas on what is right and wrong. The Bandy Bandy encourages you to explore your morals. Ooh, really relevant with that 5 of Swords card. What you believe and what you behave and why you behave the way you do. Particularly, I'm thinking around money. This is a time when you need to find a balance between the opposites and extremes within yourself and those in your environment. Very relevant, I think, for you guys. And finally, the Moth card, Shadow Self. Ooh, interesting, huh? We're just talking about the extremes within, with the Bandy Bandy card and balance, and what you consider, what you show, what you show and what you hide, what you consider good and what you consider bad, and what we do when we feel threatened. And here we are talking now about moth and shadow self. So the bogong moth played a major part in the diet of some of the traditional peoples of Australia. It is a very large moth, almost as long as your hand. The moths gather together at certain times of the year to mate and lay their eggs. Many language groups would join together to feast on those moths, which were a fantastic food source, full of good fats and proteins when they were in season. It is because the bogong moth was so important in the traditional diet of some Aboriginal people that it was shared communally. This needed a high level of trust between different groups and also tolerance of each other's differences. The moth as a messenger is associated with hidden meanings and information. It also represents your shadow self, or those parts of yourself you prefer not to show others. Because the moth is a nocturnal insect and is able to see in the darkness and gravitate towards the light, it asks you to be honest about what inner fears or issues you are being encouraged to bring forward into the light. A moth looks dull until the moon or light illuminates the shine of silver dust coating its wings, allowing its true magic and beauty to be seen. I think you guys currently are being driven by fear, and you're hiding some stuff and you're acting out of defensive position, really worried about stuff, wanting to kind of slide into slippery kind of realms in a way that aren't good for you and aren't good for people around you. Think of the Hanged Man to shift your perspective. Think of getting some balance emotionally around whatever this kind of struggle is for you. I think overall though, you're okay. You're okay. Look around you, look for evidence. Where is the evidence that things are going to blow up? There probably is none. It's probably all in your head and coming from a past fearful state. And that's because you're human, and that's what we do. So look, Sagittarius, thank you so much for watching and listening to this reading. Maybe it pertains to someone in particular. I think it's quite may not definitely apply for everyone, but I hope it's been of use in some way, shape or form. Really grateful that you've given it some time and attention. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do to show your appreciation. Otherwise, check in March or check out your moon or rising sign. I'll see you later. Bye.